Hey everybody, I'm back with a Thought of the Day video. Just wanting to share another resource with you. I'm about ready to probably get on with our next What the Future Holds with our YouTube teaching series. We've been in the middle of some festival edition videos. I've got one more coming next week, next 2 weeks on Hanukkah. And we're going to finish out this year and then starting, maybe even, probably starting... Well, maybe we'll get to it before the year end. We'll start kind of peeling into what's next, because I've figured out some of my future plans. So we'll get into that in some future videos. But today I just want to share a new resource. You may remember, if you follow the podcast and have made it to session 6 of the podcast, season 6, we end up during we go through the Gospel of John verse by verse on the podcast, and towards the beginning, chapter 4-ish, 3-4, somewhere in there, no, 4-5, excuse me, John chapter 4, starting at verse 5, we end up doing a guest interview with one of my friends. His name is Kevan Chandler. And he talks about a book that he wrote, and he talks about a little bit of his own journey and his own testimony and his organization. And then he sticks around and helps us talk about John chapter 5 in the next episode. I'll link those 2 episodes in the description of this video so that you can go back and listen to those and some of Kevin's story. But way back then, we were talking about, and we were interviewing him because of this book. I don't have the book cover, the dust cover anymore, but it's We Carry Kevan. And it's Kevan Chandler's, at least part of his story, about these friends of his that basically Kevan was born with a condition where a lot of his body didn't develop, and he's been confined to a wheelchair basically his whole life. And so he's had these friends that got to know him, and they didn't want him. He wanted to experience life, and they wanted him to be able to live life with them and experience friendship. And so these friends ended up binding together to form the relationships and to help meet Kevan's needs. They show up at his house every day. They help him get around. They bathe him. And then they go on these wild adventures. And the book, We Carry Kevan, is about how they designed this backpack that they carry Kevan around, and they go on these crazy adventures that you and I would consider like crazy adventures. And this is a really meaningful story. It's an incredible book about friendship, and it's an incredible book about service and selflessness and how all those ideas come together. And I just really enjoyed that book. And so we talked about that years ago. Well, Kevan came out with a new book that he's written with Tommy Shelton. Tommy Shelton, I believe, is a pastor in Florida. But they wrote a book called The Hospitality of Need. And the book, like when you think about the title, so it's thinking The Hospitality of Need is another just great book. This one it's about half the size. Here's We Carry Kevan. Here's Hospitality of Need. It's about half the size, a little bit easier of a read. They were both easy reads, but this one's a little bit maybe shorter. But just, again, it's Kevan speaking from his biographical experience, telling lessons that he's learned from his own story. And the premise of this book is that part of what he's learned as somebody who's been confined to a wheelchair, now married to we got to meet her the last time we hung out with Kevan, and just the sweetest gal. They're fantastic. But one of the things he's learned is that if he's a person that has needs, and if he shares those needs with others, if he shares those needs with his brothers and sisters, literal, spiritual brothers and sisters, if he shares those needs, we're not burdens when we share our needs with each other. In fact, the title suggests, and the book will tell us, sharing our needs is actually a great move of hospitality. It's one way that we can actually serve others is by sharing our vulnerability and sharing out of our place of need. And it's just like if you read We Carry Kevan and you enjoyed that, this is just more of the same. So it's not more of the same, like, oh, it's the same thing, but it's more of the same good stuff that Kevan brings from his, just the wisdom of reflecting on his own experience. The book just got better and better as I read it. It started off good, and then the further and further I got into it, like the more, I had the same experience when I read We Carry Kevan. Like the book was great, and then as I got closer and closer to the end, I don't know if it was because I was more emotionally connected or if it's because like Kevan was pulling me in his writing, but I just felt like the book was getting better and better, and some of the chapters towards the end were just amazing, gripping, moving chapters. Same goes for this. I felt like this book just continued to get better and better and better. Now, Tommy writes, but basically I feel like over half the book is Kevan sharing from his story. And then Tommy comes in and writes a chapter every 3 or 4 chapters. And I think what they're doing is they're having Tommy bring in some of the theology, some of the textual, exegetical theology that goes along with some of Kevan's biography, which is great. And I thought I totally understood what they were doing. At first, it was the parts of the book that I probably I was less motivated by theologically, those kind of things. But I got to tell you, the last chapter that Tommy writes was like, it was great. It was so good. So the book it was good, and it just keeps getting better. So if you love those kinds of books, if you love to read there's actually a picture of Tommy and Kevan there on the back. Like if that's the kind of stuff, people writing from their own experience and sharing wisdom, it's just a great book. At the very end, Kevan shares a personal story which mimics almost exactly one of the midrash that the rabbis have told for thousands of years. And I don't even think he knew it. So I texted him after I got done reading. I said, Kevan, you don't even know how good this is. Let me tell you what the rabbis this story that the rabbis tell. And I would tell the story on this video, but I don't want to spoiler alerts, right? Nope, none of that, no spoilers. So anyway, just wanted to share that resource with you. It's a great book. And whenever I have friends, especially, that write what I think are just really great resources, I love to share it with all of you. Not only because it helps them, because they're trying to get the word out, but also because you need to know about great resources. And everybody wants to know, like, what am I reading and what am I enjoying and what would you recommend? Here's a recommendation for you. Get The Hospitality of Need by Kevan Chandler and Tommy Shelton. Great work, guys. Hope you all find that to be a really helpful resource, encouraging conversation. And we'll see what we got next. Let's see, in the month of December, I guess it's December now, but we'll talk about, let's talk about Hanukkah here in about a week and a half. We'll talk about Hanukkah. See you then.